Hi Chris, I got your question about the spinning, and the question was, I'm curious how much I should be making on one spindle before it becomes a ball of yarn. Okay, that depends on what your goals are for that ball of yarn. If you just want to make spun singles, then that fiber needs to be a little bit over twisted, because you're going to be finishing it by washing it and thracking it to distribute the energy through it a little bit to twist, so it won't be too unruly to work with, which will be called, if it is still highly energized, a lot of curls and kinks and curling up on you, then that's called a biased yarn, I believe, and it will have a lean to it. Some of your stitches lean to the left, some lean to the right, so you can end up with a fabric that's live, so to speak, and it's not gonna lay flat. It's gonna, move. It's gonna buckle. It's gonna, twist. It's gonna fold, have wrinkles, creases, that kind of fiber. If that's your goal, then so that's your goal. If you want a balanced yarn, which is what most commercial yarns are, a balanced yarn, it just hangs straight, and you don't have to worry about, and your work will pretty much lay flat if the stitches are being done in that particular style. Then a balanced yarn, then you need to make it would, for a single, it was going to have to be a little under twisted, which it will make fall apart later on after you wash it. It's just a lot of different factors. I prefer to 2-ply my yarn, and I like 3 plies and 2 plies. I haven't done a 4-ply. If I want 4-ply yarn, I'll go buy, and this is a excuse me, this is a commercial 4-ply sock yarn. I spin fine enough, and I'm not trying to spin the same yarn 4 times on 4 bobbins to make a 4-ply. I'm sorry, I'll drink some water. The peeper, the corner peeper. So it all depends on what your goals are for that particular fiber. Now, let's say you're trying to spin a sock weight yarn, and if I can find a piece I tore off, I will show you. I'll drop it. I can't keep track of anything today. It's one of those days. I had a piece of that yarn I showed you, the sock weight yarn, that I had cut off so that I could show you what it looks like unraveled into its 3-ply form. And I don't know where it is now. See it? It's not stuck to my clothing. Okay. It was just red. We'll use this as an, oh, here it is. Okay, if I'd been a snake, it would have bit me. So this is a sock yarn, and if you want to spin a similar sock yarn, then this is how thin each of those singles has to be. On the screen, this looks pretty big, but in actuality, it is not. This single fits into the 40 wraps per inch category. So if I hold this back here with me, this is how, let me see if you can see that. That's how fine that yarn is. Okay, we'll do the dime test. find a dime if my minions have not found my change stash. I don't think I have a dime in there anymore. We'll use a penny. How about that? We will use a penny. As usual, my videos are not very well organized. And they probably never will be. I can't even pick up stuff. Okay. So we have a penny. Alright. So this is, everybody knows how big a penny is, or can get one. But that is how fine that single is for a commercial 4-ply sock yarn. Now this is some red heart yarn. And this is and red heart is, a lot of red heart is 4-ply. So this is how thick the red heart 4-ply is. And I'm going to show them to you side by side, so you can have an idea. Okay. So that's the red heart on the top, that bright yellow. And then that is the sock yarn on the bottom. So that is how thin you really have to spin something to get these particular gauges for sock yarn and for worsted weight. That's the difference between the sock yarn and the worsted weight, just for comparison. Okay? That's called a reality check. Alright? So, after you have decided, okay, I want to spin yarn to make some socks, I want to spin yarn to make some hats, and I want it to be similar to Red Heart's yarn to make the hat, then you know, if you're going to use a 4-ply, you know you need to be spinning it about that thick. Well, actually, if you're going to do a 3-ply, if you're going to use a 4-ply, that's about how thick you need to spin it. If you're going to use a 3-ply, it needs to be just slightly a little bit thicker than that, because you'll be using 3 strands instead of 4. So while you're spinning that particular gauge, say you're spinning it this finely, which, let's see if I can find something like that. Okay, so this one right here I'm spinning is just as fine as this sock yarn, if not a little bit finer. So if I was spinning, it's hard for y'all to see that. So if I was spinning this and for a 3-ply, this will end up being a little bit finer than a sock yarn, just a little bit, not much. And as I'm spinning, let's say my spindle is starting to, the yarn is starting to break. It's I shouldn't have did that, because now I won't be finding it. There we go. It's starting to break. The spindle's falling. It's dropping a lot. Then your spindle has reached the point where you need to take this fiber off and start anew, or you could put it on a storage device, because once it gets too heavy to support that thinness that you're spinning, it's time to take it off or move over to another spindle. These are some of the items that I use to store singles on. This was some lace was on this from a project. The little strips, ribbon, that's it. The ribbon was on this from a project, that little lacy ribbon that you can put on blankets and stuff. This was a cone that some of that Barocco tape yarn was on, so I saved that and used that for wrapping yarn around. Toilet paper. During the summer when my allergies are going crazy, it's cheaper. I just keep a roll of toilet paper to blow my nose with, and this is the toilet paper roll. You could also get commercial products for yarn, which are these cones. There are several different types of cones that you can get. If you know someone who's a weaver, they may have cones on top of cones that they're trying to get rid of, that they'll actually give you just to get them out their sight. If you know someone that owns a fiber mill, then they might have cones that you can buy, and they're usually pretty affordable. I know Sheep Shed Studio Carol sells cones, so it's a good resource for them. I think I get like 10 at a time when I get them from her. Another thing you can store your leftover yarn on is kitchen skewers, and that's this. If I just have a little bit of a particular yarn, I just wind it onto the kitchen skewer, this one. And it's got like 4 or 5 different types of yarns on it, because I'll just wind it up there, and one day I'll add it to one of my remnant skeins. So those are my tips for your spinning, as far as where you think you're, when is it time to take that off. And it all, like I said, it all depends on your goal for the fiber. That's the thing, is your goals for your fiber determine when you take that yarn off that spindle. The spindle will let you know if it's time to take that fiber off, because the heaviness of the spindle will pull apart before you can spin it into that particular gauge that you're trying to spin it into. The spindle will start dropping because you can't get it twisted in fast enough from the weight before it just pulls it apart, or it snaps because the spindle is too heavy. So that'll let you know when it's time to change. So I hope that helps you a lot. Thank you for sending me your address. I didn't realize those settings had changed, because I haven't changed the settings, so I'm wondering if it's because YouTube been doing something. So yeah, just let me know if you need help with anything else, and be expecting a package. Probably about a weekend, I would say, because I have to wait till my husband has a day off or afternoon off or something, and he can go to the post office for me. Alright, so take care.